You ever reach into a cage with the purest of intentions? And suddenly, bam! Your sweet little budgie turns into a feathered land shark? They look adorable. They sound adorable. But sometimes, they bite like they've got beef. So, what gives? Why? Do these tiny, chirpy companions who rely on us for food, love, and shelter suddenly decide our fingers are the enemy? You feed them. You talk to them. You name them something cute like kiwi or bubbles, and still, they nip. In this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about budgie biting. We'll explore what biting means from a bird's perspective, why it happens, how much it actually hurts, and how to prevent it. We'll also dive into the weird science behind those tiny beaks, bust some common myths, and help you build a better relationship with your feathery little velociraptor. I've spent years raising budgies, talking to bird behaviorists, and listening to stories from bird lovers all over the world. And let me tell you, biting is almost never what it seems. But don't worry, it's not personal, or is it? Let's dig into what's really going on inside that tiny beak. Understanding budgie biting behavior. Let's start with something a lot of new budgie owners don't realize. Biting is a form of communication. Yeah, that little snap on your finger. It's not just random aggression, it's your bird trying to say something. The tricky part? We don't always speak budgie. Budgies are incredibly social creatures. In the wild, they live in flocks of hundreds. They groom each other, play, squabble, flirt, all using their beaks. That means not every beak interaction is hostile. Some are just conversations. There's a big difference between a bite, a nibble, and what we call beak testing, when your budgie taps or gently presses your skin, almost like it's checking you out. A hard bite is usually a last resort, your budgie's way of saying, "Hey, you're not listening!" But before that bite comes, your budgie usually sends out plenty of warning signs. Let's talk body language. Watch for fluffed feathers. Rapid pupil dilation, we call it eye pinning, head jerks, or wings held tightly to the body. These are like neon signs saying, "Back off, I'm not cool with this." Sometimes the bite comes from stress. Maybe there's too much noise or a new environment. Other times, it's fear. If your hand's coming in fast like a predator, yeah, that's scary. Then, there's dominance. Your budgie might be trying to assert who's boss, especially if it's feeling territorial. And of course, there's just playfulness. Young budgies especially will nip as part of play, much like puppies do. It's a full emotional spectrum packed into 2 inches of feathers. And here's something critical. A well-socialized budgie is far less likely to bite. The earlier you start building trust, letting your budgie come to you, offering treats, respecting their signals, the more likely they are to see you as part of their flock, not a threat. It's kind of like earning street cred with a tiny bird. I remember one of my first budgies, Charlie. For weeks, every time I reached into his cage, he'd lunge. Not hard bites, but enough to make me pull away. I thought he hated me. Turns out I was moving too fast. I wasn't reading his body language. Once I started approaching slower, letting him hop onto a perch instead of my hand, everything changed. Within a week, he was nibbling my ear and chirping every time I walked in. Budgies don't bite because they're mean. They bite because they're confused, scared, or trying to teach you something. So now we know a bite isn't always what it seems, but what's really driving those sharp little beaks to act out? Let's break it down. Reasons why budgies bite. By now, we know a budgie's bite is often a message, but let's go deeper. What exactly are they trying to tell us? Let's look at the most common reasons these little feathered firecrackers decide to sink their beaks into us. Reasons 1. Fear and unfamiliarity. Picture this. You just brought your new budgie home. The cage is set up. You're excited. You reach in to say hi and chomp. Don't take it personally. Your bird's not being mean, it's terrified. Imagine being scooped up and dropped into an alien spaceship with blinking lights and giant hands. That's what a new environment feels like to a budgie. Sudden movements, loud noises, even unfamiliar hands can trigger fear bites. It's pure survival instinct. Story time. One viewer, Alex, wrote in about his budgie Luna. For the first 2 weeks, Luna bit anyone who came close. But once they started just sitting near her cage and talking softly, the bites stopped. Luna just needed time to feel safe. Reasons. 2. Territorial instincts. Ever try to change a Budgie's food bowl and get ambushed like you just stole their treasure? Yeah, that's territorial biting. Some Budgies get cage aggressive, especially if they've claimed a perch or corner as theirs. And if you've got a female Budgie in nesting mode, good luck. It's not uncommon for Budgies to defend their space, especially during hormonal phases. Which leads us to reasons 3. Hormonal changes. During breeding season, usually triggered by changes in daylight and temperature, your sweet Budgie might turn into a moody little gremlin. Hormonal surges can make them more aggressive, more possessive, and yes, way more likely to bite. If your Budgie starts shadowboxing with toys, tearing up paper, or biting when you approach a favorite spot, they're probably riding a hormonal wave. Tip: limiting daylight hours and removing nesting materials can help curb hormonal behaviors. Reasons 4. Boredom and lack of stimulation. Budgies are smart. Like, figure out how to open your peanut jar, smart. And a bored Budgie is a frustrated Budgie, and a frustrated Budgie bites. If they're stuck in a cage all day with the same old toys, no social interaction, and no room to fly or explore, well, wouldn't you get snappy? Rotate toys weekly, introduce foraging activities, and allow safe out-of-cage time to burn off energy. Reasons. 5. Trauma or negative past experiences. Some Budgies bite because they've learned through experience that hands equal pain. Maybe they were grabbed roughly in a pet store. Maybe they were chased, swatted, or frightened by loud kids. Whatever it was, they've now associated humans with fear. Story time. A rescue Budgie named Beans wouldn't let anyone near him. His foster owner realized Beans would panic every time someone wore rings or bracelets. Turns out, a previous owner had worn flashy jewelry and handled him roughly. Once she took off her accessories, Beans finally started to calm down. Patience and positive reinforcement are key here. You can't undo trauma overnight, but you can rebuild trust one gentle moment at a time. Reasons 6. Miscommunication by humans. Sometimes we're the problem. Budgies are subtle communicators. If you miss their early warning signs like turning away, beak grinding, or a warning puff, you might get bitten simply because they feel ignored. We also sometimes misread behaviors. A playful nibble can escalate into a defensive bite if you react with sudden movement or loud noise. Learn your Budgie's signals. It's like learning a new language. Once you're fluent, things get a lot smoother. Reasons 7. Medical reasons. Finally, never ignore a sudden change in behavior, especially if your normally chill Budgie suddenly starts biting out of nowhere. Biting can be a sign of pain or discomfort. Overgrown beak, sore feet, illness, or injury could be making your bird lash out in self-protection. If you suspect something's off, get a vet check. Better safe than sorry. Quick case. One Budgie named Pico began biting every time his owner touched his back. A vet later discovered a small skin infection under his feathers. Once treated, Pico went right back to being a snuggle bug. So there you have it. From fear to frustration, hormones to health, biting aren't just a bad habit. It's a behavior with roots. And when we understand the reason, we can start working with our birds instead of against them. Okay, so we've got the why, but what about the how? Just how strong is that bite anyway? Let's get a little nerdy with it. Biomechanical analysis of Budgie bites. All right, let's nerd out for a second. We've talked about why Budgies bite, but what about the how? What's really going on behind that tiny curved beak? Is it all feathers and fluff? Or are we talking about a mini weaponized clamp with wings? Let's break down the biomechanics of the Budgie bite. Anatomy of a Budgie's beak. More than just a pointy face. A Budgie's beak is a finely tuned multi-tool. It's made of keratin, the same stuff as your fingernails, but shaped for serious work. The beak has two parts. First one is upper mandible. which is moves slightly up and down. Second one is lower mandible, which does most of the pressure work. Together, they form a curved, hook-like clamp capable of crushing seeds, climbing cage bars, and occasionally taking a nibble out of your finger. Inside that beak are pressure points connected to strong facial muscles. For something so small, it packs. Surprising precision. Bite force. Pound for pound, it's impressive. So, how powerful is a budgie bite? Now, we're not talking parrot-level jawbreakers here. Budgies aren't cracking walnuts, but for a bird that weighs less than a tennis ball, their bite is no joke. Scientists estimate small parrots like budgies can exert about 12-20 newtons of pressure with their bite. That's roughly like being pinched firmly with a pair of tweezers. Tweezers that don't want to let go. Metaphor. It's like being pinched by a tiny clamp with attitude. Not enough to break skin, but just enough to make you go, "Hey, not cool, buddy." And because their beaks are sharp and hooked, even a light bite can feel stronger than it is, especially if it hits a sensitive spot like your knuckle or cuticle. Beak. The budgie's Swiss Army knife. The beak isn't just a biting machine, it's a daily use tool. Budgies use it to climb around their cage. They often use their beak like a third foot. Preen their feathers and those of their mates, break open seeds and toys, explore new textures often through beak testing. In fact, many nibbles that seem like bites are actually exploratory behavior. They're asking, what is this thing? Can I eat it? Should I climb it? Is it alive? Nibble vs. Chomp. Pressure control. Budgies are surprisingly good at adjusting pressure. Just like a dog can carry an egg without cracking it, budgies can modulate how hard they bite. A gentle nibble during play or bonding. Think of it like a tickle. A warning nip? That's their version of a back-off sign. A full bite? That's when things get serious, fear, pain, or extreme discomfort. A well-socialized budgie often learns to warn before they escalate. A raised foot, a turned head, or a slight hiss can all mean, not in the mood, pal. Behavioral use of the beak. It's a language. Think of the beak as part of the budgie's body language. It's how they talk to each other and to you. A light beak tap on your finger might mean, "Hello, who are you?" A nip after a rough pet might say, "I didn't like that." A slow beak rub, that's trust, even affection. When you learn to read your budgie's beak behavior, you're basically learning to speak budgie. Fun fact, in the wild, budgies use their beaks in social grooming and even play fighting. So, a little bite doesn't always mean trouble, it might just mean you're in the flock. So yes, the budgie bite is small but mighty. It's not just about pain, it's about precision, personality, and purpose. Now that you know just how that bite works, let's get real. Does it actually hurt? Let's talk pain, thresholds, and what to expect when a budgie decides to go beak first. Pain and budgie bites, what to expect. Okay, so we've decoded the mechanics of a budgie bite, but let's get to the part you're really wondering about. Does it hurt? The answer? Well, it depends. Let's break it down. Pain scale from nibble to "Hey, that's my nose." Budgie bites come in flavors. Not actual flavors, though they may test your skin like it's a snack, but different intensities. Let's put it on a human-friendly pain scale of 1 to 10. Nibble 1 to 2. This is your budgie gently, using their beak to explore you. It might feel like a soft scratch or a curious little pinch. Honestly, kinda cute. Pinch 3 to 5. This is the warning shot. Your budgie might be saying, "Too much, human." It stings a little but doesn't break skin. Hard bite, 6 to 8. Now we're talking discomfort. A solid defensive chomp can leave a red mark or even draw a tiny bit of blood. Extreme 9 to 10, super rare. Usually only happens if your bird is in full panic mode or in serious pain. Most budgies don't have the jaw strength to cause real damage, but they can surprise you. Reminder, budgies don't bite to be mean, they bite to communicate. Favorite targets, where they tend to bite. Let's be honest, our fingers are like juicy worms to a curious budgie. But that's not the only place they aim for. Fingers, our first bite zone. You're most likely to get chomped during feeding, cage cleaning, or hand taming, ears and neck, if your budgie likes perching on your shoulder. One wrong sneeze and ouch, nose, often bitten out of curiosity or sheer opportunity. Some budgies get nippy when you touch their favorite toy, invade their cage, or interrupt their beauty nap. It's all about context. Reacting to a bite, don't play the drama card. Here's a hard truth. If you freak out, your budgie learns that biting is power. Instead, stay calm. Pull your hand away slowly. Don't yell, don't punish, just neutral response, like a boring statue. This teaches your budgie that biting gets them. Nothing, no drama, no attention, no fun. When to see a doctor. Budgie bites are rarely dangerous, but here's when to take them seriously. If the bite breaks the skin and draws blood, if you notice swelling, redness, or pus, if you haven't had a tetanus shot in the last 10 years, if you have a weakened immune system, clean the bite with soap and water. Apply an antiseptic. If anything seems off, check with a doctor. Taming the fear, how to desensitize yourself. If you're tense around your budgie, they'll know. Birds are emotional mirrors. Here's how to ease your fear. Spend time near the cage without reaching in. Let your budgie come to you. Don't force it, use a perch or stick. If you're nervous about hand contact, practice breathing and moving slowly when handling. Trust is a two-way street. When you're calm, they're calm. When you flinch, they flinch. Think of it as co-regulating, just with feathers. So, yeah, it can sting, but let's be real. Are you the reason your budgie's biting? Let's talk about your role in this pecking problem coming up next. Human interaction and budgies. Here's a hard pill to swallow, and trust me, I say this with love. Sometimes we're the problem. When your sweet little budgie clamps down on your finger like it owes them money, it might not be a bad bird issue. It might be a human miscommunication issue. Let's break down how the way we interact with our feathered friends can accidentally turn cuddles into chomps. Poor timing. When you pick the worst moment possible. Budgies like us have moods. Imagine someone barging into your room right as you're getting comfy for a nap, or worse, while you're eating. That's how it feels for a budgie when we decide it's training time during their downtime. If you try to handle or train your budgie right after a stressful event, like a loud noise, when they're already agitated or tired, without warming them up to it, you're setting yourself up for a nibble or worse. Solution? Observe their mood first. If they're chirpy, curious, and engaged, that's your window. Inconsistent expectations, mixed signals, and mixed behavior. One day you let your budgie sit on your shoulder. The next day, you scold them for nipping your earlobe. Last week you gave them treats from your hand. Today you're annoyed when they nip for more. Sound familiar? Budgies thrive on routine and clear boundaries. Mixed messages confuse them, and confused birds often communicate the only way they know how, with their beaks. Tip: set consistent rules. If shoulder time is okay, it should always be okay or always be off limits. If biting no treat, stick to it every time. Ignoring the signs. Your budgie warned you. Budgies are body language experts. They tell you when they're not in the mood. Did you notice? Pinned pupils tiny. Darting eyes is heightened emotion, possibly aggression. Sleeked feathers and tail flicks are irritation. Puffing up and shifting weight is stress or defense. Rapid beak grinding or lowered head is relaxed. If you miss those warning signs and push forward anyway, a bite might be their only way left to say no. Too much? Too fast? Respect the bubble. Budgies are prey animals. Being grabbed, cornered, or hovered over triggers deep ancestral fear. You might think you're being loving. They think the sky is falling. Don't grab from above like a predator. Don't chase them around the cage. Don't force them onto your hand. Instead, move slowly, speak gently, and offer treats as peace offerings. Give them space to come to you. Trust isn't given, it's earned, bird by bird. Trust building, the budgie bonding basics. Want your budgie to stop biting? Start by making them feel safe around you. Here's your starter pack. Slow movements. Always approach from the side or below. Use treats. Millet is magic. Use it during and after positive interactions. Daily short sessions, just 5-10 minutes a day, can change everything. Talk to them. Your voice matters. It becomes part of their safe environment. You don't have to be a bird whisperer. You just need to show up consistently and kindly. Reinforcement. Reward what you want to see. Instead of reacting when your bird bites, start reacting when they don't. When your budgie steps onto your hand without biting, stays calm while you clean. The cage engages in social time without nips, reward it. A treat, a gentle good bird, a favorite toy, whatever they love. Over time, your budgie will learn that calm, which is equal to reward. Biting? That gets ignored. That's boring. No fun. Success story, from biter to bestie. Let me tell you about Max. Max was a beautiful green and yellow budgie who hated fingers. His owner, Jess, couldn't even refill the water dish without drawing blood. But Jess stuck to the trust-building plan. Daily soft talk while sitting near the cage. Millet from a flat palm, never reaching in. Ignoring every single bite, zero reaction. Praising every peaceful moment. 3 months in, Max was stepping onto her hand willingly. 6 months later, he was preening her hair and riding on her shoulder like a little feathered pirate. From biting menace to best buddy, your budgie can do the same with the right kind of love. So maybe you've been sending the wrong signals without even realizing it. But now you know how to turn things around and get those tiny talons of trust wrapped around your finger in a good way. Of course, not everything you've heard about budgie bites is true. Some of it's just bird-brained nonsense. Let's bust some myths. Common myths about budgies and biting. Let's take a moment to clear the air, because when it comes to budgie bites, there's a lot of bird-brained advice flying around. Myth 1. Budgies bite because they hate you. Nope, not even close. Budgies don't hold grudges or plot revenge. They bite because they're scared, confused, overstimulated, or trying to communicate. Your bird isn't trying to get back at you. It's trying to say, hey, I don't feel safe right now. It's not hate, it's a survival instinct. Myth 2. Only wild or untrained budgies bite. Even the most hand-tamed budgie can bite on a bad day. Hormonal changes, health issues, stress, or a break in routine can cause even a normally sweet bird to lash out. Just like people, they have off days. Training helps, but it's not a magical shield against all beak-related drama. Myth 3. If your budgie bites, you should punish it. This one is dangerous. Punishing a budgie, yelling, tapping the beak, flicking fingers, only creates fear and mistrust. And guess what fearful birds do? They bite. More. Budgies learn through positive reinforcement, not punishment. Instead of punishing a bite, focus on rewarding calm, gentle behavior. Every time. Myth 4. Female budgies are meaner than males. Let's pump the brakes on that one. Yes, females can be more territorial, especially during hormonal periods, but labeling all girl birds as mean is lazy and unfair. In reality, personality varies bird to bird, not just by gender. Some females are total sweethearts. Some males can be real feathered tyrants. Watch your bird, learn their personality. Myth 5. Once a biter, always a biter. False again. Biting is usually a learned behavior, and guess what? Learned behaviors can be unlearned. With patience, consistent handling, and trust building, even the most persistent beak bandit can become a polite perch pal. Just look at all the success stories in the budgie community. Once bitten owners now enjoying peaceful bonding with once grumpy birds. What's the truth then? Budgies bite for reasons. They're not mean. They're not broken. They're just trying to navigate a big confusing world in a tiny feathery body. If you want the biting to stop, it starts with understanding, not punishment. With patience, not panic. Because here's the real secret. Most biting issues aren't permanent. They're just misunderstood. So now that we've busted the myths wide open, let's get real practical. What should you actually do when your budgie bites? Let's walk through it step by step. So, let's wrap things up. Understanding is the first step. Budgies don't bite out of malice. They're simply using their beaks to communicate, whether it's fear, stress, or even playfulness. Reasons for biting can range from a fear response to territorial instincts, hormonal shifts, or even boredom. It's not about you, it's about the situation. Your reaction matters. By responding calmly and consistently, you can help your budgie feel more comfortable and less likely to bite. Remember, bonding with your budgie is about trust, not punishment. Over time, with patience and positive reinforcement, you can turn a biter into a best friend. Have you had a budgie bite experience? What was the reason? Share your stories in the comments below. We love hearing from fellow bird lovers. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more bird care tips, training strategies, and amazing budgie stories. Remember, every bite is a beak trying to tell you something. The question is, are you listening? Thanks for watching, and happy bird parenting.